My name is Dawn Hughes, and I'm the new Booktrib Book Club Coordinator. We're here today with Ed Hajim to talk about his latest book, Island of the Four Ps. The book, a spin-off of Ed's best-selling memoir, On the Road Less Traveled, is a modern fable about a young man who leaves home for the first time and travels to an island on a quest to answer some of life's basic questions based on four fundamental themes: passions, principles, partners, and plans. It's the perfect companion for anyone looking for inspiration on how to navigate this ever-changing world. Island of the Four Ps is one of the books taking part in Booktrib's book club program in June. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule for a bit of a rapid-fire Q&A, Ed.
That's good. Thank you very much for having me. I love rapid-fire Q&As.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be as rapid-fire as we think, but we'll try.
We'll give it a shot.
First off, I'm really fascinated with the structure of the book. Why did you choose to use a fable to convey your ideas?
I have also been fascinated by the use of fables to convey ideas over history. Just think back, something called the Bible, Aesop's Fables, Gulliver's Travels, Don Quixote. In modern sense, Dr. Seuss, Who Moved My Cheese, The Alchemist. It seems that you can communicate ideas more easily on a universal basis through the use of a fable. People relate to it better. They basically remember things from stories rather than being told what to do. And that's why I thought, as I started to get into it, I kind of got a kick out of it. Also, fable can have many more levels. When one reads books like Gulliver's Travels and you read it a second time, you get another idea. And the third time, you find a third thing to do. And I've been finding in reading my own book, I've found different levels of things which come to me because of the fact that it is a fable. It allows you freedom, basically.
That's really cool. I'd never seen that structure before. Well, I guess I have, since you mentioned a whole bunch of them. So I just never thought about in that context. That's fantastic. I imagine, even though that this is a spin-off of your memoir, that you still had to do a little bit of research as you were writing this book. Or maybe not. Was there something surprising or interesting that you've discovered as you were writing this book?
Well, I wrote the book under two sort of experiences. One was that as I went back in my own life, these words kept coming up to me to say, these are the words I use to make decisions. And then as the chairman of the board of trustees of the University of Rochester, I needed a message to pass on to young people. So this just evolved like that. I used those words, and each one of the words started to expand. For example, like the word passions is a very overused word. Passions expanded into talents, likes, dislikes, and context. You have different passions in different periods. If you're in a war or a recession, it's somewhat different than things are good. So I started to use these words for my own purposes in my own life. And then trying to convey that idea to young people, I found I used the same words. That's how they get. But I did do the work on each word, and make sure that each word was, I considered the most important words in making life's decisions.
Fascinating. That's really interesting. Aside from a compelling read, which obviously this is, what do you hope readers take away from this book?
A couple of simple things. First of all, that everyone is unique. The older man who is called Archimedes, he's not a teacher, he's a guide. I'm hoping people recognize that they have to make decisions for themselves. Constantly throughout the book, Archimedes is putting pressure on Marcus, and later on Thalia, the young lady that enters the book, in making their own decisions based on their own passions, principles, the partners they accumulate, the plans they write. And that's really the main message, is you have to make your decisions. We're going to try to give you a framework which might help you. You can even modify that. But in general, we're trying to express to people, given the fact that, and in the book it talks about self, we're all very different people because of the genes we have and the experiences we have. And therefore, this message is, you've got to have this conversation. And by the way, the conversation, not necessarily between two people, it be with yourself. Because the only constant in life, is your inner voice.
Right. Correct. Which is why the book is set up the way it's set up, I would assume.
Exactly.
Correct. I know this is not, well, it as a fable, I guess it has some fictional elements to it, but either fiction or nonfiction, or is there an author that you would say has helped inspire your writing?
The two, I would say Lou Holtz, who's a great football coach, had the same kind of giving of spirit and the breaking down of words you have to use to make decisions. And Howard Stevenson, I owe quite a bit to, who's a professor at the Harvard Business School. He wrote a book called Just Enough. And I've used a lot of his material in the book. His book came out a decade ago, and it was one of my guideposts. And I've known Howard for a long, long time. I'm having my 60th reunion at the business school, so I've known him too long. And but I did use his information and his help. And Lou Holtz, to me, was an inspiring sort of person, given the fact that he had won quite a few games, and he did it with spirit as much as with talent.
Are you also a football fan?
Oh yes, absolutely. I was
team?
I cut the football team, but I played intramural football for 4 years at the university because it was one of my really a lot of fun.
Nice. Do you watch football now?
Absolutely. I'm a Giant fan since way back.
I'm a Rams fan. I guess we can't talk. What's the best book that you've read in the last year, fiction or nonfiction?
Well, the book that I guess Power Failure is a book that I'm enthusiastic about because it was the story of General Electric, and it's really it's a summation and a really penetrating story about how management operates, how it changes, how it deals with its environment. And it's a book about Jack Welch in general, but also about GE as a company and what happened to the entire period. I think it's a worthwhile read for any executive or anybody going into business, because it deals with so many different aspects of a business and the way a company changes over time. But I did reread Walter Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. Victor Frankl wrote a book that I think you probably should read every 3 or 4 years, and I do. It's a very short book. So those are the 2 books that I've read in the last 12 months that I think are really kind of important. But my wife introduced me to fiction a few years ago. I never read a fictional book until about 3 years ago, and I've been captured by a lot of the great fictional writers as well.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. The more you read, the more you know.
No, that's absolutely.
That is a wrap for us.
So listen, today with Audible, it changes your whole ball game. If you're a walker like I am every day, I used to hate to walk. Now I love to walk because I listen to books on the way.
I do that too, walking my dogs. I think that's really cool.
It gives you, it's a great experience. And my walking used to be 45 minutes. I sometimes go an hour and a half because I'm in the middle of a story. I have to finish before I finish my walk.
You did a good job on the Audible then.
That's right.
Thanks again so much for taking time to talk with us. For more information about Ed's book, please check out the book club page on the booktrib.com website.